What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Not for the Week. It's your boy James.
It's your boy Manny.
We're back at it. Back at it again. Fresh out of FitCon. And yeah, we had another episode that we were going to release instead of this, but that didn't work. So we got a guest for you today, though, and he's been on the podcast numerous times before. You know, he's an OG of the podcast. Jon Andersen, the Jon Andersen.
This is his fourth time.
Put some respect on his fucking name.
I believe it's his fourth.
It might be his fourth time. He's probably the most. He's been on the podcast the most out of everybody, I think. And he's an interesting fucking dude. First off, he's gigantic. Just
gigantic.
He's I don't even think it does him justice, honestly. The man's got traps bigger than some people's futures. Yeah. And ex-pro strongman, ex-pro wrestler, current pro bodybuilder, and coaches people online, changes lives.
Helps people do better.
Yeah. And he also, cuts a mean fart. It's a good gym, or it's a good episode. It's a pretty solid episode. We talk about a lot of cool shit like motivation, nutrition, the carnivore diet, accountability, just a lot of cool shit. There's a lot of good gems in there, and I think it's a good episode. I think you guys will like it, learn a lot of shit from it, and if you don't, too fucking bad. But yeah. Yeah. I mean, you either get something from it or you don't. I mean, and if you choose not to get anything from it, that's on you guys. Because there's definitely something that anybody could pick up and take from this episode. Even if it's just a tiny nugget. There's a lot of good stuff in there. And yeah, I'm stoked he came on. Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah, enjoy it. And here we go. Jon Andersen.
There we go. Fucking A.
God damn.
Right up, fellas. Jesus Christ. Sorry about that.
Fucking technology.
All it is.
Fucking A. God damn, man. That's the problem. You put me in charge of something like this, I'm just going to get fucked up every time,
It's just bound to happen. It's just bound to happen.
That's it.
Nobody can figure out shit nowadays. There's too many buttons and shit.
Oh, fuck. That's it. So how's everything going? Good with you?
Yeah, it's going good. This is Manny, by the way. Manny's doing the podcast with me.
Manny, what's up, brother?
What's going on?
How are you?
I'm doing good.
Pleasure to meet you, brother.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Good.
What's going on with you?
So what was it when I was on here last? Fucking it was couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, I want to say it was right before the pandemic. It was right before the pandemic. So yeah.
Honestly, brother, I can't remember. Something tells me it was before that. It was even before that. But fuck, I don't know.
It might have
Jesus Christ,
It's all kind of blending together, man. We're getting old.
Yeah.
Right?
That's it. That's all. That's it, brother. It's tough. But age is just a fucking number. Christ, I'm 49 years old. Can you fucking believe that shit?
Like, you look good for 49, man.
Yeah.
A lot better than some of the 30-years that work out at the gym where I'm at, so it's all relative.
Yeah. When it comes down to it, I mean, Christ, it's, you can say the age, when it comes down to the age, if you're taking care of yourself, then it's just a number. If you're taking care of yourself, everything keeps going. But as you get older, you got to play the game a hell of a lot smarter. That's for sure.
Yeah. I work with a guy, he's 67 and he benched 225 for 26 reps the other day. At 67.
How old is he?
67.
That's fucking savage, brother.
Yeah. We've been working together for a long time.
That's fucking savage shit.
Yeah. And he just never gave up on the working out thing. It's just a part of his lifestyle. Dude hit like 20K steps a day and works out 2 hours a day. So
Yeah. And that's it. When you do it because you enjoy it, you do it because you love it. It's not a job. It's a fucking piece of cake. And that's where I've always been my whole life, in terms of, I've been able to do cool shit with training, but when it comes down to it, training is just like fucking brushing my teeth. If I don't fucking train, I got a shitty taste in my mouth all fucking day,
Well, I think too, like, too many people like just look at training from one aspect instead of like trying to find out what kind of training actually appeals to them, right? Like there's all types of different types of physical activity that you can fucking do. Like you don't have to go in there and, lift weights. You could, do some CrossFit. You could fucking go run, whatever, just be fucking active.
Well, and on that level too, there's all the different disciplines, the different ways that you can exert yourself. But I think what people really miss about this shit is that, first off, most people want to do it to get in shape. We're talking, excuse me, get in shape. They want to get in shape. But then really what it comes down to, first is physical, then it's mental. And if you stick with it long enough, I'm not trying to get Gandhi on you, but it becomes more of a spiritual thing. And I don't mean religion. I'm not talking about it. I'm talking about it's a piece of you. It's a part of who you are. That's what I mean by spiritual, and once it becomes a piece of who you are, it's something that you're driven to do, but not in a way that like, oh, fuck, I got to go to the gym today. It's like, this is just kind of part of what you do. And I think that's where people miss. They look at it from, there's 3 dimensions and they look at it for just one. And because of that, they never, ever get to the space where it becomes something that's more than just sweating,
I think, do you think that's more of like the mindset that people go into when they first start working out, right? Like they go in there with the wrong mindset. Like they're not in the correct headspace when they start working out. And so a lot of them don't stick with it long enough to actually get to that point where it's like a spiritual part of their life.
Well, the funny thing is most dudes, probably all of us included, we start off fucking training because we want to get in shape. We want to get some pussy. We want some chicks,
Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's 100% why I said that. I was too skinny.
So just about every young male on the fucking planet starts for the wrong reason. but that's, you kind of grow past that, then you start to realize, okay, then there's a guy who gets himself in shape, starts to get some ass, forgets about the working out. Next thing you know, he's 25, he's fat, he's really fucking unhappy because he's talking about when he was 18 and 19 and he was in shape getting all the pussy. Well, obviously there's a little more to it than that. You start off for the wrong reasons, just about everybody does, and you start to realize there's something more to it. And once you start to realize there's something more to it, that's where, the people that stick with it for a long time, they've registered there's more to it than just a physical thing, so it's like, if you think about people that have trained most of their lives, usually their training is something that, there's other activities that navigate around the training. Sometimes like in my case, on an extreme level, first I was a pro strongman, then a pro wrestler, now pro bodybuilder. But let's talk about, just a regular guy. Maybe he starts off lifting weights so he can ride his bike better. Then he goes into a running phase. Then he goes in, training is something that will accommodate the activities that to many people are actually fun. The people that find training fun, now that's where you got something,
Yeah. The trick is trying to get to that point. Like there's a lot of people that won't stick with it long enough to get to the point where it's fun. They get turned off.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing about those people are so fucking easy to spot because they won't stick with anything long enough to get good at it. They're the ones that, if you think about anything a person gets good at, a person's got to commit to something for a decade before he gets really fucking good at something. Well, how many people think about in current society, how many people that started training and stopped, started a job and stopped? They're always moving around. They're always making these changes, thinking there's some fucking better way. there's some better formula. No, the fucking formula is to shut your fucking mouth, get the fucking work done, and get through that sticky spot to where you actually fucking get good at it.
Yeah.
You know?
I know too many guys like that, you know, started off, had like good promising like careers, like powerlifting or whatever. And then, you know, they get in their own way and they, you know, start taking time off, and they take long periods of like a year off. And then they try to get back into it. And then mentally it's like shitting on them because they're not good as they were when they stopped initially. And so it's like a never ending spiral of, oh man, just keeping in their own way.
You know, and that's the thing too, is that when you really get into this shit, then you realize that it's not just, of course it's always getting better, but it's having that formula, making that formula that allows you to get better faster or allows you to get better in a different way. I mean, the people that really, really go the distance with this shit, they get down into the nooks and crannies. It's not just going to the gym. It's not just drinking fucking protein powder. You know, it's, you know, you're studying what you're doing. You're feeling how it's this constant adjustment. And that's, for me, that's what makes it fun. At 49, I mean, it's crazy. When just 10 years ago, I could fucking train balls to the wall all the time and have no issues. At 49, now I have to go through these aggressive phases and then these kind of deload phases, almost like I was getting ready for a competition when I was younger, you know, and it's not so much that the muscles it's the joints. You know, granted, my muscles get burned up and they need time, but it's the joints that tell me that I need the rest, you know? So it's kind of one of those things to where as you move down this path and you continue to do what you do, you've got to, the people that are really getting somewhere, they're constantly adjusting, they're constantly tweaking. And that's what makes it so goddamn fun. And that's what separates, you know, the people that are good and the people that are great, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's also finding ways, you know, outside of the gym to optimize your time in the gym, you know, like getting the right amount of sleep, getting the nutrition right, all that little stuff, you know.
Yeah.
The recovery.
Yeah. Nutrition is the biggest piece of that puzzle, brother. I'm telling you right now. I mean, everybody thinks it's training, you know, training is one piece of the equation. You know, if you don't have your nutrition dialed in and you're not resting or you're not sleeping, the training doesn't fucking mean jack shit. You know, the training is like the part that with the other two in place, then you get the big ba-boom. You know, you get these dumb fuckers that are going in, you know, it's International Bench Day every fucking Monday. These dumb fuckers are doing 5 sets of 5 every fucking Monday and nothing ever changes, you know, and it's because their diet is shit. They don't rest. They think that the harder they work in the gym, the better they're going to get. Well, it's just wasted effort because you got to have the foundation of getting bigger and stronger or leaner, whatever you're trying to do, is in the fucking kitchen and fucking we're in your bed when you're rested. You know, I shouldn't say in the bedroom because that sounds, you know, you can do a lot of things in the bedroom where you're not actually rested.
that's part of it too, though. You got to have that too. You can't.
That's considered recovery.
That's part of the recovery, right?
Yeah,
that's the mental
some sort of way.
Well, it just depends on which side of the fence you're on. See, like for me, if I want to go to sleep, I just got to knock a quick one off. I've been even fucking jerk one off on my job, you know. But I mean, if I'm gonna, you know, if I'm gonna have some fun with my lady, you know, that may not be a night that's gonna have a lot of rest and recovery involved. So you got to kind of pick your shots, you know.
But you'll feel good the next day. That's for sure.
Yeah, but overall, yeah, there's so many elements to all this shit for sure. You know, it's you know, even within training, there's plenty of little things that have to be noted. Inside nutrition, it's like this web of details that you never, ever truly get to the bottom of, because every time you discover something new, you realize, holy shit, it's almost like a ripple effect. Every time you realize that something else worked, then holy shit, look at all these things that now open the door gets opened because this one thing worked. So it's just this web of, getting better when it comes to nutrition, because there's so many different ways you can go about it. Sleep, you just got to get in that fucking good deep sleep and fucking recover. That's more of, for most people, that's a time issue. You got to have the time to do it. It's sleeping patterns are kind of weird. You people say, "Oh, I'm gonna sleep in tomorrow." Well, I always recommend people that sleeping in is one thing, but go to fucking bed earlier, because that's taking your pattern in the proper direction. Sleeping in takes it in the other direction. Go to fucking bed earlier so that your sleep pattern actually supports what you're doing. When you're sleeping in, you're pushing your sleep pattern away from the pattern that supports what you're doing. That makes sense?
That makes total sense. And I personally, I always feel shittier if I sleep in. Like if I'm, I take a late morning, I feel groggy during the day. It's not a, I don't get the benefit of that. So I'm with you there. I'd love
Yeah, I'm the same way with you, brother. I mean, I totally agree with you, brother. When I get up, I'm up and I'm fucking hitting the throttle, because my day, the whole day is going to be set on that first 60 minutes. Am I a lazy fucker, or am I fucking tagging the throttle? Am I fucking going for it? Yeah. So I totally agree. Sleeping in has never been my thing. I'm always more of a, if I sleep in, I'll sleep in an extra 30 minutes. I'm not sleeping in hours. I'll go to bed earlier and I'll sleep an extra 30 minutes. But I mean, my wake up time is between 5 and 6 o'clock, no matter what day it is. That's just that my body will wake up at 6 o'clock, even if I went to bed earlier, or I went to bed late for that matter,
How many hours are you typically getting?
As I get older, I definitely am realizing that I spend more time in bed, not in the bedroom. So, because ultimately what it comes down to is I realize as I get older, I'm much better when I have more time off my feet. So I'm not I don't spend time fucking laying on the couch. I don't spend time doing that. If I'm up, I'm kicking ass. That's just me. I enjoy being productive. Being productive to me is something that I get a lot of fulfillment from. So if I'm up and I'm fucking moving, I better be getting something done. Otherwise, just fucking, I'll lay down, I'll take a nap, so it's for what I realize is that, go to bed, try to be in bed about 8 o'clock, which sounds like an old fucker, but Jesus Christ, I'm 49. But then when I'm up at 5 or 6, that's kind of my sleep. Usually I'm usually asleep by 9. So you figure, 9 to 5 is what? Do the math. I'm not in that 8-9 hours of sleep.
That's pretty solid. I struggle with because I work out later in the evening, and so I tend to have a hard time winding down after my workout. So I can't go to bed right away. So I put myself up till 11, and then I'm up at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. If I train midday. I mean, luckily with my career, the training has always been a priority. It's like going to work. And so I train with what works best for what I'm doing in my schedule. So I'm with you, brother. If I trained at say 6 o'clock at night, I wouldn't be going to sleep anytime soon.
Yeah,
it would be hours before I could unwind,
Yeah. Then so that's been a big issue with me, is trying to figure out the optimal, what time can I get out of the gym and still get to bed at a decent time? You know what I mean? So
see, I'm completely opposite though.
Yeah.
If I train at 6 o'clock and I take my pre-workout and everything, I finish, it's normally 2 hours that I'm training, but afterwards I can fall asleep just as fast.
Really?
By 8:30, I'm already half asleep on the couch talking to the wife. So
you're just an anomaly.
Yeah, that's a blessing, brother, because a lot of people can't do that, myself included, But another thing too that actually helps a person sleep is if their body is actually if you're properly nourished, your body will relax a lot faster. Yeah. It's crazy. In the last 18 months, a big part of my coaching has gone to just kind of I mean, I love coaching an aggressive athlete, but there's far more people in need that just need to be in better health and lose body fat, get stronger, and have a better quality of life. And literally in the first week, once I get them on their nutrition plan, just about everybody will say, holy shit, I haven't slept this good in years. Because when your body's in need, it's always kind of like, it's kind of angst. It's waiting, okay. If you're waiting for something, think about that even from a different perspective. If you're waiting for somebody to show up, you're not going to fall asleep. Right. Well, if you're waiting for your dinner, you're not going to fall asleep. If your body's waiting for the micronutrients it needs, hence the word micro, not macro, it's constantly waiting. So when you give the body what it needs, it's just like, whoa, it settles down and fucking pow. So sleep is one of those things that can be drastically altered by poor nutrition,
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I just think that's been a huge thing with me. Like the last, year I've been working with a buddy of mine with my nutrition, getting ready for this powerlifting meet. And, I was drastically under eating without even thinking about it. I was doing like 4,000 calories a day, but it wasn't enough for the amount of training I was doing. So I've been upping my calories and I've been sleeping way better. Just quality of sleep's improved dramatically from that. So it's amazing. Just those little tweaks,
Yeah. Well, check this out, brother. Here's it. You use the word calorie, which most people do. So I have a couple of analogies that will kind of help people understand, how the whole thing, how the chain of command goes. So, because keep in mind, a calorie doesn't really describe if that's something your body really needs. Right. You go the next step down, so it goes calorie, then to a macronutrient. That's the language most people speak, right? Calorie or macro, right? Well, in actuality, the micronutrients, not macro, micro is the layer beneath. That's what the currency to the body is. And so you can have a calorie or a macronutrient that has very little value to the body, but people are still having a hard time understanding this. So check this out. Here's an analogy I make that kind of helps people see how it works. So keep in mind, we're talking about the example as you have a vehicle for transportation. Keep in mind, it's for transportation, getting from point A to point B. Okay, so calorie tells you got a vehicle for transportation. A macronutrient tells you that you have a minivan, a 4x4, or a sports car, right? That's basically fat, that's carbohydrate or protein. Okay, now a micronutrient, this is the currency to the body, is what tells you if you have a fucking motor in the goddamn car. So if you have a car for transportation that has no fucking motor, does it have currency to the person that's going to buy it? Fuck no. Well, you can have a macro and you can have a calorie that don't have motors, so to speak. So the body doesn't give a shit, doesn't give two shits about the calorie or the macro unless it's got the micro included. Yeah. That's probably one of the biggest things that people are missing with the whole venture of nutrition. It's like a level of understanding that people don't even recognize is there. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's like, and I think a huge part of that was that huge push of like, if it fits your macros, like that push a couple years back where everyone's like, oh, you can eat the Oreos, that shit, as long as you fit your calories, right? But if you're actually eating, whole nutrient dense foods to fulfill your daily needs, you're going to get all those micronutrients.
Brother, you know who was doing fucking if it fits your macros long before it was termed if it was fit your fucking macros is fucking Weight Watchers. That's all they do is fucking count, It's the same stupid shit. They just fucking renamed Weight Watchers, in the fucking fitness industry if it fits your macros, and all these fat fuckers thought, oh my God, I can eat fucking ice cream and candy all day as long as I don't go over my limit. Well, hello, Weight Watchers. That's what those motherfuckers have been doing for 30 years, It's fucking crazy. All you got to do for the general public, just fucking rename something a little bit more fucking trendy, and they're all over, But just like you said, trend. Yeah. The fit your macros is fucking gone like a fart in the fucking wind because it doesn't work. Well,
you still see people trying to preach it on social media. I I had this, low calorie wrap, and it, had my Oreos with it. It's like, but you're not getting all those micros like you're talking about. You're avoiding the nutrient dense foods, and you're missing out on all the micros by doing that.
Yeah, 100%. Well, here's the best way to do it. All these people that preach all these fucking trends, just watch them long enough, because they'll be preaching the new trend as soon as that one leaves and the new one comes in.
Yeah, actually, we kind of wanted to talk to you about something that is kind of trendy right now, which is that carnivore diet. I want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Well, carnivore, I mean, number one, what's that, brother?
I said, because that one's all over the place right now. Like, everyone's always talking about that.
Yeah. Well, I guess the thing about carnivore is it's granted, like, obviously there's keto, there's carnivore, there's all this fucking different shit. Well, carnivore is one of those that, by following that plan, you can't eat something that doesn't have micronutrient density. As to where keto, you could be eating tons of shit that has you can eat any type of fats on keto.
Yeah.
It doesn't talk about essential fat. It's eat any fat.
Right.
You could be fucking, eating fucking tablespoons of margarine and there's no problem, But as to where, when you're getting an animal fats, even if it's an animal that was not fed very well, it's still going to be better than a fucking, some terrible reproduced, manufactured fucking trans fat that your body can't even break down. So when it comes down to it, I believe that, the carnivore has helped a lot of people. And I think of all the things that are out there right now, if you're going to stick to a simple way of doing something, you want to I just need the simple way to move forward. Because usually that's what happens, is people just need something simple they can hold on to, they understand, and they can move forward and see progress. If you're looking for one of those, I say right now, carnivore is hands down your best way to go. Not to mention, I've always been a big connoisseur of red meat. Red meat does not, you have all these fucking studies that will tell you red meat is this, red meat is that. It's fucking horse shit. That stuff is all garbage. I talk about cholesterol. Sugar is what creates cholesterol, not fucking red meat, So anyway, so I think the carnivore is definitely, at this point, carnivore is definitely one of the better ways to go if you're just looking for that simple, here we go. The thing that I always try to explain to people is, unfortunately, because we're all so different, there's never going to be one simple way that is going to work for everybody. Some people are going to respond really well. I've known some people with keto that have fucking done amazing shit. Dave Palumbo, he calls it Palumbo ketogenic diet. He's been a keto guy forever, and he's had a lot of success with it. Now, granted, he looks a little deeper into it. He deals with good fats and things like that. But if you're talking about just a straight keto, you get somebody that buys the fucking book, they're going straight for the bacon. I guarantee you, who's not going to go straight for the bacon? Who's not going to go for a Jimmy Dean sausage when you're told you can eat anything you want when it comes to a meat? You go to the fattiest fucking, you cook that shit, you can smell it from 3 miles away. Who doesn't want that? Unfortunately, yeah, of course. Unfortunately, this is where the keto flu comes from, because you can only take in, these type of meats that have terrible fats, or just the terrible fats in general. The body, it toxifies the body to the point where it gets over toxified. That's where the keto flu comes in. People think, oh, I'm getting keto flu from this. If you did a modified keto where you only ate essential fats, you would actually be able to do that for a hell of a long time and have no issues. But people are too fucking dumb to realize this. It takes someone who understands to point out, okay, you got to eat this and not this, And so, with carnivore, obviously it's kind of a newer generation, and it's especially for someone that wants to build some muscle. You're not going to get any better recommendation from me other than eating a lot of fucking red meat. So that's right there,
Yeah, the red meat is the key. I remember. Yeah, I bought into the whole thing of you got to limit your red meat back 5-6 years ago. So I was doing a lot of chicken, a lot of turkey, but the last 2 years, I've upped my red meat, where I'm doing red meat 3-4 meals a day. And my blood work has never been better. My blood work's perfect. And everyone's like, oh, man.
Oh, dude. 100%. Your red meat, the whole fucking myth of red meat fucking you up is as stupid as it gets. The problem is that, it's the people say thing. Well, people say this, people say that. Well, Jesus Christ, do a little digging and find out where did the root of that statistic come from. And you'll find out a lot of these statistics that people throw around like they're fact, they were done off of fucking, science that's been disproven, you think of it like this. There was a time on this earth when we all knew the world was flat. Well, fuck. These people that are still thinking that red meat creates cholesterol, heart issues, they're still fucking living on the world that's flat. Fucking wake up. We got a globe here, Yeah,
no, it's and I think a huge part of that is still like there's a huge generation of doctors. I saw a general practitioner a few years back, and he was telling me I need to cut down on the red meat. Meanwhile, my blood work is perfect. And I'm like, you just don't know.
Yeah. What was the reasoning for telling you to cut down on it? That's what I want to know. Why, Doc? Why do we need to cut down on it? What do you see that tells you I need to eat less? Well, I don't know. It causes red meat's not good for you. Well, fucking shut up, man. Yeah. Give me some supporting facts to this fucking piece of advice,
Well, see, my doctor told me the same thing the last time that I went and got blood work. She told me that it was my bad cholesterol was way too high and my good cholesterol was too low. And she said it's because of the red meat. She's like, that's why you need to cut back on the red meat and you need to eat more chicken, more turkey. She's like, find alternatives for your protein source.
Yeah. Well, what I would argue to that one would be, because here's the thing. We know that eating is what creates some sort of an effect in our body, right? What we take in, right? A good or a bad effect. Well, there's a lot of shit that we take in that's not in the food that we eat. I mean, the body can be affected by things you drink, things you breathe, all of this shit. But at the same time, it's all just pointed right down to the few simple things that were put into science, 40 fucking years ago. I mean, if you think about toxicity, right? Toxicity is everywhere. Obviously there's tons of toxicity in our food. There's toxicity in our water. There's toxicity in our air. So when you think about making these changes, it's a lot of these pieces of advice from doctors is really, in my opinion, is really inside the box, meaning they're not thinking that there's so much has changed in our world. And there's so many other ways that your body can be affected other than just eating alone. So what I would say, brother, is that, your cholesterol is one thing, but we have all sorts of tests. Like, for example, anybody that eats a lot of protein is always going to be watching their organs, making sure they're functioning properly, right? Well, you ever heard a doctor tell you stop drinking protein powder because it fucks with your liver?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, that's good. That doctor actually knows what the fuck he's talking about, because processed food in general, whether you're talking about a fucking Big Mac or protein powders, it's all fucking hard on your organs, So that's one of those things to where, I guess when it comes down to, your body not functioning properly, there's so many things we got to look at in terms of how the body reacts. You know what I mean? It sounds like your doctor sounds like is a little more up to speed than most, I mean, James, you said your doctor said eat less red meat, but there was no reason to support it.
Well, yeah, that's he's not my doctor anymore. That guy's a fucking moron. I saw him a couple years back.
Okay, good.
Well,
good.
I got my blood work done, right? My blood work was perfect. My liver enzymes were elevated, and he's like, yo, we got to do a hepatitis test because you might have hepatitis. And I'm like, dude, I eat high, like what you were talking about, right? I eat a high protein diet, I train hard, I guarantee you can check my liver enzymes, not after a heavy deadlift session. I bet they'll be fine. He's like, no, we got to check. You might have hepatitis. Lo and behold, liver enzymes were normal. I just hit a heavy deadlift session right before the test, So it's like, Guy just didn't know.
Yeah, 100%. I had a guy that on one of my programs, and he came to me, said that he had a blood test, and that it was that the doctor said, oh, you need to stop eating so much protein. And I asked him, I said, oh, did you tell the doctor that you spent 4 days in Las Vegas, 2 days before the test? And he goes, no. I said, well, do you think that eating too much protein is going to create more harm than going to Vegas and not sleeping for days and drinking constantly and whatever else you were doing?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's crazy because that's what I was getting at earlier. You got to look at a person as a whole. The deadlift session, going to Vegas, eating, all of these things have to be factored into why a test looked the way it does,
Yeah, no, it's a complicated system, right? Like there is no one simple fix to anything, right? But people want to find one simple fix, It's
that's the problem right there.
Yeah.
That's it. Is that everybody's looking for that one answer. It's never one thing. Christ, if our lives were filled with one answer problems, none of us would have any fucking problems.
Be pretty nice. Let's go. So how's the training going? Like, I know you've been pushing that pretty hard since the last time I talked to you, like pushing that lifestyle change.
Yeah. The training, I think when we talked last, I had just gone from my wrestling career to bodybuilding. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, I think you were just kind of like kicking off your new set of like the training, like you were getting more into the lifestyle coaching of like not so serious athletes.
Yeah. Okay. So it kind of all coincides. Yeah. So, I mean, when it comes down to it, I mean, the way that I train, the way that I eat, this is how my whole system is developed on my own trial and error. And I've been doing this shit for fucking 30 years. Jesus Christ. Actually more, 31 now. Here's an interesting fucking note. I haven't had a missed week of training in 31 years unless it was scheduled. Damn. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
See, that's the difference right there, But ultimately, when I work with people and I coach people, it's because, I basically am teaching them the shit that I've developed and learned myself, not through some fucking message board or not what people say or not what other people are doing. It's you understanding how to register what your body's telling you. Like when I was younger, perfect example, I used to train, my intensity of training was over the top, and I would just train to the point where I couldn't go anymore. Well, as I get older, that's just not possible in terms of doing that for any elongated period of time. I can have periods where I train like that for a few weeks. Then I have to have a few weeks of kind of, when I say active recovery, I'm still training. I'm just not fucking crushing myself. I'm not doing, because I mean, like I'm a guy that'll do, you're going to get me, going from a set of squats, run to a fucking leg press and go to fucking leg press for failure. You know what I mean? Just that kind of, my training's always been outside the box and aggressive. So as I get older, I just become so much smarter, which is what really, when it comes down to it, this is what makes me such a fucking good coach when it comes to helping other people. Nowadays, it's like, I swear to God, it's crazy. I haven't had a problem that I couldn't solve in terms of helping somebody else with their nutrition in their training in easily a couple of years. Normally, you run into that person, you just can't fucking figure out what the hell's going on. You can't figure out their algorithm, so to speak. I've been doing this so long, I can listen. Someone could just say, hey, this is what's going on, and they can kind of tell me what they're doing. I know what the fucking problem is before they even finish their explanation. It's fucking crazy. It's like you do something long enough, you just fucking get it. And that's where I am right now. And that's what's been really fucking cool is that, I get it for myself, but I get it for people that I work with, that I help. And that's when it's so fucking crazy because, I mean, I've had killer results for everything I've done. But when you can actually help somebody else achieve something they didn't what they didn't think was possible, it's a whole different story, you know. And I've been doing this long enough now, and I've been coaching, you know, nutritionally long enough now. It's just like the fucking answers just hit me, you know. I don't really have to think. Like when someone comes on board, I'll have them answer some questions for me. I read them over, and literally I call it, I marinate on it about 24 hours. Well, I won't do anything. I just think about what they told me. And I swear to God, dude, it just, everything just starts coming together. I don't really even have to, I mean, of course I work it out, but the answers are just coming to me, you know? And so when you get to this level of understanding, it's just a whole new fucking world, you know? I mean, even my shape, when I first came on your show a couple of years ago, you know, I mean, I've always been a pretty big dude, but I mean, my shape over the last couple of years has gotten, you know, rounder, so to speak. I mean, you know, I'm 49 years old, you know, and I'm still thick and rounded. It's because of all of these different ways that I've learned to manipulate nutrition, manipulate training, understand rest periods or lack of rest periods. So, and this has been like, I mean, it's like a big fucking science experiment that's just nonstop fun every day, you know?
Well, it goes back. That's the beauty of the whole training, right? Like it's ever evolving. You know, you're not going to look the same as you did last year or 10 years ago, and you're not going to look the same 10 years from now. You know, so it's always evolving.
Never, yeah, and that's it. See, because when if you're one of those people who likes the journey, see, for me, if the journey ended, I'd be fucking bummed. You know, I mean, what excites me is that it continues. Even when I reach a goal, it continues. That's as soon as you reach a goal, the goal is just one more fucking quick pit stop in the journey. You know, the journey never stops. You know, and the bigger the goal, the more fun you're having. But really, when it comes down to it, it's kind of I like to put it's kind of a zero sum game, if that makes sense. It's not really, you know, it's every day you're trying to just get a little bit better than you were yesterday. If you look at it like that, if you look at, okay, how did I step forward today? There's all of these different ways within training, nutrition, rest, just overall knowledge base of what we're doing. If you can make a little step forward every day, it's like, you know, it's like, you know, saving a fucking dollar a day doesn't seem like much, but you look back over time, you got a fucking stack of bills, man, you know?
Yeah, no, 100%. And it's important. It's important to always, you know, kind of find that next goal, you know, like I remember, you know, 15 years ago or something, I thought I looked the best I would ever look, right? Like I was like, oh, I'm never going to look better than this, but it's like, you can't get satisfied with that, right? Like, because now I look infinitely better than I did back then, right? If I'd been content,
100%.
I would have, you know, fallen
100%. Yeah, it's totally, you know, and then you get to it. Forgive me, bro. I forgot how old are you? How old are you again?
34.
Yeah. So you're kind of like right in that. You're in that fucking like that peak of, you know, male maturity in terms of the physical standpoint, you know. You know, it's like there's that 10-year period where you're just fucking balling out, you know, and that you're right in that spot. So that's that perfect place. As you kind of come through there, you know, that's where you kind of start playing a little bit more with getting smarter and looking at, you know, how different ways to go about things. But your journey starts to change. Like one of the things that really started to change with my journey was not just, okay, how do I better myself? It's you start to get a lot of enjoyment out of helping others do that as well, helping others get across that finish line that they didn't think they could cross. There's every year, well, it didn't happen last year this because of Corona, but it did happen last year and the years before. I do this announcing at one of Arnold's charity events. It's actually the Arnold Strongman of Santa Monica. He does a charity. He does one of his Arnold Strongman shows as a charity event in Santa Monica on the pier. Okay. And so I do that every year with him, and it's fucking killer. And, you know, for me, I mean, just like most of us, he was a huge inspiration for all of us getting started at some point. And one of the things that he said, you know, multiple times to me is that, you start to realize that all of the things that you did that are so fulfilling become almost second seat to giving back. Because once you start to give back, you realize you've come to a place where you actually have the power to give back, and you're able to give back in a way that changes people. It's not just, helping somebody out. It's a knowledge thing. You've got to that point where you can help somebody because knowledge is power. I mean, knowledge is the most powerful thing on the planet, So you get that knowledge base to where you can actually, help somebody. It's just a little bit of your time, a little bit of your effort, but it has such a big impact on them. And that's one of the places in the last couple of years that's been really getting bigger for me. And I tell you, man, it's fucking crazy how fulfilling it is to do something or help somebody or whatever it is to change the course of somebody's life, whether it's just helping them reach a goal they didn't think was possible or motivating them or whatever it is. But it's kind of crazy. When I was your age, I would have never understood that because I was still kind of acquiring, when you're in that prime of that where you are. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I was in the same place. You're working hard, you're acquiring, knowledge. It's like, that's what we all go through it. As we're that age, we're focused on ourselves. We're focused on our own accomplishments, our own achievements. That's just the nature of being that kind of that age male. And you get to that certain point, it's like the knowledge base gets so big and so thick that you're able to really make a difference. And that's kind of where I am in the last couple of years, which has been it sounds kind of boring, but it's actually a really fucking pretty fulfilling part of what's been going on with me lately,
I mean, it totally makes sense. Obviously, like you get a lot of enjoyment seeing somebody else, achieve something that they didn't think they could. And I'm sure, especially with like the way that the world is going right now, with like, there needs to be more of an emphasis on getting healthy and like staying healthy, obviously with all the corona shit. Like, obviously everyone needs to improve their level of wellness, to combat that type of shit. So obviously there's greater importance being placed on that. And so obviously the more you can help get there, the better.
Yeah. But overall, to answer your question, long fucking answer for a short question, is that, everything that with my training and my nutrition, it just keeps, it's almost like you get that momentum. And as the momentum goes and it just gets going faster and faster. And it's like you're covering more ground. This is that point in my life where I'm able to cover so much more ground in a shorter period of time, just because my knowledge base, that's really what I'm getting at, is that my training, my nutrition, it's just in the last, I can't even compare now to 5 years ago. It's crazy,
Would you say as a result of that you probably look better now than you did, 5-6 years ago?
I think you could argue that fact for sure. I don't think that you can argue that, as you get old, you start getting this fucking chicken neck, that kind of shit, I can't bring that in the equation, but I think, do I look better in a front double bicep right now than I did 5 years ago? Absolutely. Yeah. My arms are bigger. I shouldn't say they're bigger. They're rounder. They're more shapely. They have the appearance of being bigger than ever. I don't measure them. I don't really give a shit. That's, you do that all the time when you're a young fucker. How big are your arms? Wrap the tape around there. People say to me all the time, they say, hey, how big are your arms? And I say, I don't measure. They say, really? Why not? And I think, okay, this is the example I give them. I said, look, when you don't have any fucking money, you're constantly counting how much you got.
Yeah.
Once you got a shitload of money, you don't fucking count it anymore. Same thing with your arms. You're fucking dying to get those fuckers to 22. Once you cross that fucking border, who gives a shit after that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost diminishing returns at that point. It's like, what's another inch? You're already there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's just like when you're fucking, you get to a certain point where you're doing well enough at anything. You don't have to sit there and take inventory anymore,
I I'm not there yet. I don't think either of us are there yet, but we'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are shit, man. You still got you got plenty of time, you know.
Yeah, no, it's crazy because even, you know, like how you're talking about the knowledge just changing. Even, you know, for me in the last 4 years, I would say there's been an exponential growth in terms of just like the knowledge base and what I've gained over those last 4 years. Just
It's crazy.
It's crazy. It's exponential. It's like literally not even on the same
Yeah.
as, you know, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, and think about this, brother. In 5 more years, it's going to feel even stronger. It's like the longer you stay in the game, the more exponential it gets. And that's what we were talking about earlier. You know, most of these motherfuckers don't stay in it long enough to even get the compounding effect started. Yeah. You know, when you stay in this thing for decades, that son of a bitch is compounding so fast you can't even keep track of it anymore. You know?
Well, we live in such an instantaneous society where everyone wants, you know, they want all the knowledge now and they want to, you know, be able to apply it tomorrow. And then, you know, there is no 10-year plan there. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, especially the generation that say the fucking snowflakes, these motherfuckers, you know, Jesus Christ, if they break a sweat, it's too much. What's the terms? I love the terms. It's awkward. Well, fucking no shit. Life is awkward. You know? You know? It's like, oh, it's awkward. It's uncomfortable. Well, fucking A, man. When you're a teenager, everything is awkward. Everything is uncomfortable. Christ, even when you're getting laid, it's awkward and uncomfortable. Yeah, those first few times are definitely super awkward.
Oh, dude. Think about that. Think about the first time you're getting a piece of ass and you're trying to put on a fucking rubber. Was that like the fucking worst thing on the planet? You know, I remember trying to put that son of a bitch on. I'm like, just fucking come on, stay awake for me, you motherfucker. You'll be back and you'll be near the flesh again here real quick. You know,
it's not gonna last.
You know, just to fucking but let's be honest. How many fucking times did you open up a fucking rubber and put it on when you had a fucking rock hard piece of wood standing by yourself somewhere just so you were prepared when the time came, right? Oh, come on. Don't tell me you guys do that shit.
It's called not prepared. That's what it's called. It's called being prepared.
What's that?
It's called being prepared.
Exactly right. I did it so many times. Right? And then the fucking day comes, right? And you're like, oh, Jesus, here we go. And you open that fucking thing and the smell. I remember this. I opened that fucking wrapper and the fucking smell of whatever the lubrication or whatever the fuck's in that thing. It smelled very different when she was laying next to me than when I was in the fucking bathroom by myself. And, you know, it wasn't, but see, the smell was just representation of the fact that everything about that fucking rubber was different when the chick was laying next to me than when I was by myself, you know? I mean, shit, I had no problem keeping a piece of wood, putting that thing on by myself. I'm putting on with the chick laying next to me. I'm losing girth. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I need you now. Don't go anywhere, you know?
Flick it a couple times or something. And then you always put it on upside down. It always goes on upside down. You color coded.
But I mean, this is what we're talking about. You're getting laid for the first time and it's awkward. Everything is awkward. Everything's uncomfortable. How these fucking snowflakes now, they get out of fucking class because they don't feel whatever it is. I mean, it's fucking unbelievable. Now, if a kid has a problem, somebody's going to come in and take them out of the situation. No, what needs to happen? Stick in that fucking situation and fucking deal with the problem. That's how you fix the fucking problem. You know?
Yeah, you don't learn from the situation.
Yeah, so on that level, you know, just going back to everything is instant in our society, you know, if you're not willing to get uncomfortable, then you're never going to fucking make it down the path we've been discussing this whole podcast. You know, if it's all about being uncomfortable, the guy who can get uncomfortable and be comfortable, that's the guy right there sorry about that. That's the guy right there who fucking gets the golden egg. He gets the golden goose, because when you can be comfortable, when everybody else is uncomfortable, you own the fucking situation, you know?
Yeah. Do you think that's a learned trait, or you think that's, you either have that or?
You know, I think that's something that I think at very first, you got to be forced into it a little bit, you know, because it's hard to do it on your own. I know for me, I was forced into it as a kid, you know, by coaches and, you know, parents. And then you start to realize it's not that fucking bad. No. And then as you move forward, you start to realize that getting uncomfortable is where this is where the progress is. You know, you're not making any fucking progress sitting on the fucking couch, watching fucking TV, eating a fucking bowl of cereal after school. You know, you got to go fucking get uncomfortable. That's how you get where you want to go.
Not a lot of people are willing to embrace that though nowadays. At least from what I've seen from being in like
very true.
In like all these, because a lot of these like specialty gyms are like popping up nowadays. Like you have your bodybuilding gyms, your powerlifting gyms, but every time you go to one, it's always somebody wants something quick. And then once it starts getting hard, you always hear the stories of, yeah, man, it just got too hard, so I just backed off a little bit. And then that turns into, oh, I'm going to take off, for a month. And then it turns into, oh, you know what? I'm just not going to do it anymore.
Yeah. Well, the thing about that is if the fucking person given that whole spiel had any fucking sack, they'd have just said, I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. They'd own it.
Yeah. But nobody wants to own it. That's
yeah. Don't give me the fucking 15 layer, fucking conversation with excuses at every fucking layer. Just tell me I don't want to do it and I'll be fine with that. I don't want to do it anymore. Okay. Have a good day. You give me some bullshit excuse. Now I got to get after you. God damn it. Don't fucking, it's like when you give somebody an excuse, you're kind of telling them you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah. Yeah. They're treating you like an idiot.
Yeah. It's like, okay, you just tell me what the deal is. You don't want to do it anymore? I'm fine with that. Fuck, I'll take you home. You tell me you can't fucking do it anymore. Now I'm going to force you to fucking do it. If you don't want to do it, that's your choice. I'll support your choice.
Do you experience a lot of that with like your clientele? Do you get a lot of pushback there, or kind of?
Well, that's a great question, brother, because when it comes down to it, one of the things that I've realized, especially now, is that I create a setup for them, whether with training and nutrition, that basically sucks them in. That makes sense? To where I give them a program where they're going to have enough forward progression in the first week that they want to do it. Once they want to do it, we're home. That makes sense?
Yeah.
When they don't want to do it, I got a fucking problem on my hands. So what I don't do is just I will create a system for someone that will give them a whole lot of forward progress in the first week. Because once they got that, it's fucking game over. They can't wait for week 2, but I give them something where they're holding their breath for the first week. They want nothing to do with week 2, and part of that is the knowledge. I can create a program for someone where it's enjoyable and they're getting progress. Most people will connect making forward progression with suffering. Doesn't have to be that way. I mean, a lot of us will choose to suffer because we enjoy to suffer. That's part of what we do with training. Not everybody is that way, and not everybody has to be that way. So someone tells me right up front, what are your goals? I want to get in shape, but I don't want to kill myself. No fucking problem. You tell me you want to be a fucking man eater, I'm going to fucking crush you with a program, and you'll probably cry like a bitch. So just be honest with me in the beginning and we'll both be happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it goes right back to the whole thing of just being straight up. I mean, I do a lot of screening for my people, and what I screen for is not anything other than open-mindedness. All I need is someone to have an open mind. If they have an open mind, I'll change everything for them. I don't give a shit even if they're not accustomed to working hard. I don't care. they'll work hard when they feel the forward progression. They'll want to work hard. But I got to have an open mind, because if they don't have an open mind, I can't reprogram it. And that's where the success comes in my program, is I reprogram the way that people think.
Yeah. Well, that's hugely important. Like even at the stage where I'm at, where I've been training, 15 years or so, like it's gotten to the point where, like, if I have, a bad session, it kind of, it'll fuck with you a little bit, right? Like it'll make you kind of dread going the next day, right? It'll fuck with your head a little bit. So whereas if you're constantly seeing those little improvements, and you're like, oh man, it makes it much more enjoyable to go to the gym. Even at the stage where I'm at right now, right? You want to continue to see constant progression, right? So yeah, no, it makes total sense.
Yeah.
If you crush them today and made them throw up, they're sore for a week, they're never going to stick with the fucking program.
Yeah. I mean, every once in a while, you'll find someone that says, hey, I've never been pushed hard enough. I want to be really pushed. I want to know what it's like, and if somebody, that's what they want, give it to them. But most people they have no interest in that. Most people want results they want to invest less and get back more. Some people just want to invest a lot. They don't even care about the return. They just want to feel like a badass, like they just did something. And by all means, I've been there 100 times. When I was a kid, I'm like, I just need to squat until I throw up. Why? Because I want to say I want to squat until I threw up. That's how fucking simple it was. It had nothing to do with getting stronger. I wanted to tell the story.
You want to have that memory, it's important, because it helps you when shit's tough. You're like, oh, this session's tough, but it's not as bad as that time I threw up when I was squatting,
Yeah, 100%. But I mean, keep in mind, this is also, we're talking about the extreme side of the fence. Most of the people I work with now are, I deal with probably the majority of the people I deal with are people that are just trying to better their health and get in better shape. So it's kind of weird. If you look at me, you don't think people are going to come to me for this, but I get people such great results. It's just a network effect. If someone saw me walking down the street, they don't think, oh, that guy can help me get healthy, Yeah,
you think the opposite. Somebody would probably think that like a soccer mom or something would be scared to come up to you.
Well, and it's crazy because, a good chunk of the people that I work with are like that. They're just regular people that want to have more energy after work. They want to lose some body fat. They want to have a better quality of life. And the reason that they work with me is because I worked with someone that they knew, and I gave them the results that were unmistakable. It's definitely not I'm one of those where my own billboard is not helping me in my current business venture. That makes sense. Because because as we all know that, the younger athletes coming up are not, there's the really good ones. The blue chippers are still there, but there's far few younger athletes coming up that still know how to work. So I figured, okay, if I'm going to change people's lives, and if there's not enough young athletes for me to change, I'll change a normal person's life. And it's actually been pretty cool, because I can help a normal person change their life real fucking quick, and they're blown away. They're like, holy shit, I never knew life could be like this.
Yeah, it's important. I kind of want to talk about. I want to talk about your social media, because it seems like you kind of really streamlined your social media. Now you're, I don't know. It seems like you're evolving that as well. Like you're getting a lot cleaner, a lot more posts. You're posting a lot more, and the posts seem to be, I don't know, a little bit more thought out. As when I first met you, I'm listening.
Okay, so my social media is really just kind of I guess it's kind of in response to what people are needing, if that makes sense, So I communicate a lot with people in my network. That's just me. And especially in the last couple of years, being positive and helping people has been something I've really taken a lot of pride in. And so when people will tell me that they, one of my morning videos help them do something they didn't think that they weren't going to do for the day. That's when I started realizing, okay, every fucking day I'm going to put up one of those fucking aggressive motivational videos, because it helps. If it helps somebody go to the gym, it helps somebody get out of bed on time, if it helps somebody better their lives, that's what I'm all about now, you know? So that's really a big part of what it is that kind of going back to what we were talking about a little bit ago about, you know, kind of giving back and helping people. It's just kind of one of those things that comes naturally now. You know, when I was your age, what came naturally was fucking being selfish and focusing on myself. You know,
right.
That's just the nature of that age. You know, you're trying to get where you want to go. You know, once you get there, you start smelling more of the roses, and you start realizing, man, I want to help somebody else get up here. You know, it's like, you know, when I was coming up, I was stepping on people to get here. You know, I was worried about me, you know. So that's just the nature of trying to get where you want to go. So my social media is really in response to what's been really helpful, what's been helping my audience. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Have you noticed a huge, like, obviously you've noticed a huge response from this change? Like, has it improved, like, the amount of clients that you're getting from that? Like, are you getting more from social media because of that, you think?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, brother, I mean, I have fewer spots than I have people that want me to coach them. So I don't have an issue with you know, with getting clients. Mm-hmm. At this point, I just look for the right ones, you know.
You can be a little more selective.
But I mean, really what it comes down to is it's what it's doing though, is it's bringing me the right people are attracted. That makes sense. Yeah. Because sometimes people will come to like there was a guy that reached out the other day, and he basically said, he goes, I saw your page and I just knew. I just knew that this was going to be good for me. I knew it was going to help me, because there's just so much. I mean, it's real aggressive and it's in your face. You know, I'm not going to tell you everything's okay if it's not, but I'll also tell you that, yes, you can do it, you know? So I think that whole aggressive, you know, get off the couch, handle your shit, don't be a pussy. But at the same time, it's not like I'm calling someone a piece of shit. I'm saying, hey, you know, let's be the best you can be. You know, it's always real stiff with that positive, supportive edge. It's all about self-starting, you know. I mean, that's me. I mean, fuck, man. I was, you know, a lot of guys in like perfect example, when I was wrestling in Japan, you know, you're on fucking tour bus all the time, right? And so just about every American that was in there, you know, had some fucking story about being some D1 athlete. That wasn't me, you know. I wasn't a gifted young athlete. Fuck, man. I was a fat little kid that, you know, was looking for the answer to the bottom of the fucking cookie jar, you know. I learned to working hard and learning to be uncomfortable is what allowed me to get where I want to go. And so, you know, that the whole idea of self-starting is something that I really want to help people realize. If you fucking want something bad enough, you're going to get it. The only thing that exists between you and your goal is time. If you're willing to fucking do what you have to do on a daily basis. And that's the foundation of my message. You know, I mean, I feel fucking totally blessed, brother. I mean, Jesus Christ. You know, I when I was a young guy fucking busting my ass at the gym, I mean, I would have fucking cut my left pinky off. I'm not shitting you. If somebody gave me a fucking meat cleaver and said, you cut off your fucking little pinky, you can be a pro bodybuilder. Bam, it'd have been over just like that. I wanted it so fucking bad. I would have cut my pinky off faster than doing all the shit. I didn't even know what I had to do, but I just knew I was willing to do whatever I had to do. Yeah. Then, you know, then the same thing. If someone said, okay, you're going to be a pro strongman, cut off your next fucking finger. Bam, I'd have cut off the next fucking finger, you know? And then obviously when I was a kid, being a pro wrestler was not one of my, top of the things that I wanted to be. But, being a fucking performer, walking out in front of 50,000 people is pretty fucking, bam, there goes the third one. So I would have these 3 fingers. This is what I would look like, if I was given the chance. But what I'm trying to say is all you got to do is commit to the fucking process every fucking day relentlessly, and you can get what you want. I never thought that I would have one of the 3 different things that I did, let alone all fucking 3 of them, and that's the whole thing I'm getting at, is that if someone wants something fucking bad enough and they're willing to put in the fucking work, the only thing that's in the between is time. And that right there is a powerful fucking thought that most people will not engage upon. It's a long journey. Yes. But fuck, man, if you want something, anything good takes time, Yeah. Very few fucking people win the lottery, Most people that get rich have to work for it,
Yeah, it's not an overnight thing.
So, yeah. So back to social media, I'm just trying to inspire people to chase their dream, because I did it times fucking 3, and I guarantee so many people out there are not giving themselves enough credit,
I think a lot of that too, like, I think people get something in their mind, like, this is my dream. And then maybe it really truly isn't their dream, right? Like, they get something stuck in their mind, like, I want to be in the NFL, right? But maybe they don't actually really want to be in the NFL. They're kind of just in love with the idea of being in the NFL, They don't actually have the drive to go through all those processes required to get to the NFL. They like the romanticized idea of being there, right? So I think a lot of people have an issue of just kind of nailing down what that dream is that they actually truly want, and I think that leads to a lot of people kind of fucking around.
On that, that's a really good point, because as a real youngster, I wanted to be a NFLer, right? But then you realize, okay, there are certain dreams that are just not going to be possible. I mean, I could dream, to be a different race, but I'm always going to be white as a motherfucker, that dream's just not going to happen, I mean, it's just about the same way as playing in the NFL was never going to happen. It was just, there's certain things that but now you get into one of these other opportunities where you're not totally like the things that I did. The only person that could tell me no was me, and that's where you got to definitely, a person has, like you said, there's the romanticizers. They have this, this idea, but that's their dream, but they really don't have, it's their dream, but they know down deep they won't put in the work. So those people just step aside, If you got a dream and you picked something, that's, you are the person that determines when you stop. That's where I'm at. If someone's ready to work and they get to stay on the path as long as they choose, those are the people that I'm targeting right there, because that was me,
Yeah, no,
I mean, 49 years old, as a fat little fucker, all I wanted to be was a big fucking strong guy. Christ,
I'd say you got there.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that's the whole thing is, as long as you're willing to put in the fucking work, you can fucking do it. Then Jesus Christ.
You there?
I got you, brother.
Fucking computer, man, just froze on us.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. You were.
Well, I'm getting ready to have a fucking big dump. I don't know if you could hear the fucking farts I've been letting, but my wife is over in the next room. Yes, I
feel bad for your wife right now, dude. Gassing her out right now. So you got any competitions coming up, John? Or
I'm planning on competing at the end of the year, but this year's been so busy. We just actually bought a new place out in the desert in California. We moved south closer to our vacation house in Mexico. So we're just trying to get settled in here, and we're building a guest house, and so there's just so much shit going on. And as we all know, to prep for any competition, you've got to have some real stability in your life. And if you're, so I'm trying to get the stability by sometime in early August, so I can compete in the tail of the year.
Because you didn't get to compete last year, did you? Because of the Corona thing?
Yeah, I started off getting ready to do the Cal Pro.
Yeah.
And then, as bodybuilding, as we all know, I mean, Jesus Christ, that last fucking 2 months, especially last month, is not healthy. And as a 49-year-old, especially competing in the open, there's only so much of that punishment you can do to yourself. And so, I'm getting ready for the contest, and then they postpone it. So I'm like, okay, so I'm running fucking hot. Now I got to fucking cool it off, and I got to do this again in another month. So it's like, you know what I mean? There's only so much that you can do to yourself and expect it, because health is the basis for what we're doing. You fuck your health up, the game's over.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, just even like the dehydrating portion, fuck, man, there's only so many times you dehydrate yourself. It's fucking hard on you. That's a lot of guys get kidney failure from dehydrating too many times, Yeah.
Yeah. It's that the shows are not necessarily the healthiest thing. So yeah, that just actually happened to a bunch of the guys up here in Oregon. They moved a show that was supposed to happen last month. They moved it to the end of this month. I'm like, I know a bunch of guys that were like, fuck that. I'm not going to diet an extra 4 weeks on top of that. Like, it's just not worth it at this point,
Yeah, totally. And then when you start factoring in, obviously I'm at the tail end of me operating at the highest level. And so if I'm not going to be at 100%, I'm not going to do it, And yes, I heard that, honey. So it's kind of one of those things where last year, once they started, because the Cal Pro got postponed, I believe 3 times because they were having a hard time finding to have the show. And they had it in Vegas. And so this year, obviously things have been much better because they're going to the States, like the New York Pro was just in Florida because they know they can do shit in Florida,
Makes a ton of sense.
So, yeah. And like Nevada's another state where they do a lot of stuff. So that's the show I'm going to be probably doing at the tail end of the year. I think it's called Legions. It used to be the Frigno Classic. I did it in 2017. It was a killer show. And that one's in Nevada. So I know that they won't have problems there. So that's what I'm going to be planning on doing this year. But keep in mind, for me to have the stability I need, I've got to have my plate cleared by that first or second week of August. And fuck, they just fucking showed up here at Bacco's yesterday, fucking digging the pool in the back of my house. So those fuckers got to have that done before. So we'll see. I definitely, the plan is to compete for sure, Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the juice right there, baby. That's the part that's fun. All that hard work it's crazy. Anybody who's done any sort of competition, you spend months preparing for this little sliver of time, but that sliver of time represents, all of what you've been doing coming in. So it's kind of an interesting anomaly, it's months and months for this little sliver,
And you like only competing once a year?
I actually like competing a few times a year.
Yeah.
But I need to have once this year's over, 2021 is over, 2022, I should be back to where I'm competing multiple times per year.
Yeah.
Because my wife and I, she competes too. She's a high level national competitor. So, we basically, we diet together. We do it all together, which is not an easy thing, because as we all know, when you're dieting and you're pissed off, and you got 2 people dieting and pissed off, it makes it that much tougher. But you know, she's an angel. So she deals with, I'm a difficult motherfucker even when I'm not dieting. So, but ultimately we like to compete. We like to compete a couple of times a year, you know, like in years leading up to Corona, we were competing 2 or 3 times in a year, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fun, you know, it's a lot of fun. That's the key.
Yeah, well, that's cool that you guys can, you know, bond over that too. Like I don't know a lot of couples that can last through that, you know, but it's almost like you almost come out stronger probably from those dieting sessions.
Well, I'm going to chalk it up to her because no, that's right. She's like, because I mean, I'll be totally honest. I mean, she has dealt with some shit with me, you know, and, you know, when we first got together, it was in my pro strongman career. So I was gone like a week every month, you know, whether I was, you know, going international or I was going somewhere to train, because, you know, you're constantly having to better yourself when you're at that level. So I was gone at pretty much a week every month. And we, you know, she had adapted to that. And then I come home one day and tell her, hey, you know, I'd retired from strongman. I'm going to start wrestling. Next thing you know, I'm fucking gone 3 weeks a month. I'm home 1 week a month, you know? And the worst part about it was I didn't even come home and say, hey, honey, what do you think about this? That's what I should have done. But going back to what I was saying earlier, when you're younger and you're focused and you're selfish, which I very totally was, you know, that's kind of what happened. So, you know, so she's dealt with a lot. And then, 7 or 8 years, I was gone for 3 weeks a month. You know, she's home with our kids and managing our rental properties. And she's dealt with a lot of shit with me. So I think dealing with me home during a prep is probably one of the easier things that she's dealt with.
Probably wishes sometimes you were gone for 3 weeks.
Yeah, she's like, you listen, motherfucker, why don't you go fucking re-sign another contract? Get the fuck out of here, you know? Trust me when I tell you, you don't leave that world. You get kicked out of that world, you know? You don't get renewed. You get released, you know? So that's the world of wrestling for you. So... But that's the kid and caboodle, fellas. I'm about ready to shit my pants, so I got to say sayonara.
You got to go handle business, John. We totally understand. You want to let people know where they can find you?
Absolutely. So first thing I want to say on that level is I enjoy interacting with people that come and talk to me on social media. I'm in that phase where I like to connect. So the easiest way to reach me is my Instagram account. That's where I spend most of my time. And so it's the Jon Andersen, but my name is spelled different. So it's Jon. My last name is Andersen. So it's at the Jon Andersen. And you'll very easily recognize it's me because most of the videos on that page are me standing there with no shirt on. So you'll be able to connect the dots real quick.
Yeah.
But ultimately, when it comes down to it, like I said, I love to change people's lives. I love to help people. More than anything, I just like to connect. So if you guys, anybody out there, you got a question, you want to shoot the shit, hit me up.
Right on, John. Appreciate you, brother. We'll have to link up down there. Right on.
I appreciate you having me back. It was good to see you guys. We'll do it again sometime soon.
Most definitely. All right, buddy. Take it easy.
All right, guys. See ya.